Hello, and a very sweet welcome to the show. The buzz around honey has never been so loud or strong as it is right now, and making a beeline to a successful rural business is this week's featured enterprise, the aptly named Happy Valley Honey. They say that successful businesses are often a family affair, and this one is certainly proof of that. Here's some history. Nearly 4 decades ago, a beekeeper called Ben Rawnsley and his wife Dot started selling their honey from a small shop on their farm in Alfriston. Current customers of the now 40-year-old company still remember visiting the farm and filling their own containers with their favourite honey. Then in 2003, another family, the Lipscombs, took over the business, producing and selling honey and other bee products, and eventually the shop, again in new hands, was relocated to an old strawberry farm converted into a factory and shop in Drury near Auckland. Today, the business still thrives and grows with yet a third family, the Harveys, at the helm, having survived many changes of both owners and markets.
It was end of 2008. I think I was 4 years into what I'd call a corporate gap year, and the owners of this business at the time approached me to have a look and see what they should do with the business. At that particular time, there was a lack of sales. They had pretty much high stocks and they weren't making any profit, or they didn't seem to see any profits, and cash flow was going backwards. The first thing we need to look at is why there was a lack of sales for a business that it had 7 employees. And one of the problems was they were trying to export, and prices were far too high to attract customers. The other one that was clear, that they had infrastructure to pack a lot more honey or honey products, but there was no throughput and therefore no economies of scale. The other one that was a key problem was the overstock, too much invested in one particular stock line.
There are 2 main strands to Happy Valley honey: honey itself and a rapidly growing market for honey and bee products.
Yeah, diversification. It was something in our minds that we needed to de-risk ourselves from honey, because the honey was starting, even in 2008, be a constraint in the supply of bulk honey. It came by mistake. One of the customers that we were packing honey for said, would you look at this other food product? And so at that point in time we commenced, be it on a very small scale, and that sort of grew over time, and it allowed us to pack another product at the end of the week, when at the beginning of the week you could only devote to honey. There's the honey range, which encompasses field honey, which we classify being clover, borage and multifloral honey. Then there's the native range, which has different varietals such as Rerewa, Kamahi, Tari and Kanuka. And then the Manuka range, which includes the UMF honey that we pack, which ranges from a 5+ through to a 20+. Other products include raw jelly, and we pack that in vials together with honey and as tablets. We also have a bee venom range, which is very good for people with arthritis, rheumatism and gout, where the venom in the product gets the blood to flow around the affected areas. We have a proper range of products which are good for infections or people with flus symptoms. And then there's the pollen range, which is effectively bee pollen, which is great for people who need a bit of an immune boost and an energy boost. From that, we've also developed our own beauty range, which incorporates Manuka products, honey and raw jelly. That's the key ingredient in that one. Being the first producer of raw jelly in New Zealand has set us apart. It's a point of difference that makes Happy Valley different from the others. The product is at the top end of the bee chain. We make a hive queenless, which allows the working bees to make this special product called raw jelly. The uses of it are very much for good health. It covers people with bad cholesterol, high blood pressure, people with diabetes and heart problems. So it's sought after by particularly the Asian market. And so over recent years, the demand for it has increased substantially.
You wouldn't think there'd be much walk-in trade from this unassuming shop frontage on the outskirts of Drury. But these two are regulars and typical customers buying up large to take honey products home as gifts.
Okay, so there was 48 units of the 10 plus.
We use these as gifts.
Gifts, very nice for what market?
I fly to Dubai, Oman,
Yeah.
Qatar.
Our brand is actually in Qatar and Abu Dhabi.
So if you
And
can
Kuwait.
get over there.
Yeah, so they will hopefully recognise the brand. 2 of those and 3 of the raw jelly. Of course, taste as much as you'd like to. So that comes to $3,878 today. So last time you collected $3 royalty. Do you want to keep that? I'm going to use them today.
Initially we started in Macau, just over the water from Hong Kong. That was our initial customer we had way back when I started. And from there we've had a lot of inquiries, particularly out of China and Asia, but China's been the next market that we sold into. From there we've gone into Singapore, Malaysia, Japan, Korea, to name a few, in that area. And then Middle East was probably our second major area that we've been involved with, and into Qatar, and we're about to do our first export order into Saudi Arabia. It's about to arrive in the water now. But we've also, through another channel, developed into the US market, Canada, UK and into Europe at this point in time. So we've covered a wide geographic area in a short period of time.
Happy Valley Honey has been through many changes since the Raunsleys first turned their beekeeping hobby into a business and is about to take off in new directions. This week we hear from Dave Lewis from Vantage Point and Craig Armstrong from New Zealand Trade and Enterprise. I asked Dave about the importance of having a strong brand.
In the context of any business, a lot of people have thought brands are just names and logos. And I think that's the thing that we're starting to figure out in modern business, is that a brand is not your name and logo, it's what people perceive you to be. Now, if people just focus on their products and the inherent attributes of those products and don't think through what the benefits are to the customer that are unique to their product, i.e. we're different from our competitors because we've got something really unique. And if we can't package that up in all of the touch points of the business, our packaging, our name, how we position it price-wise, the channels to market, the literature, the testimonials, the marketing material, everything, our people, our signage, everything that we do in business must talk to a consistent element of what our brand stands for. And names and logos can change, but that ethos around what we stand for and why we're different to the competition and why it matters to you, the customer, that's the thing that makes a really strong brand. Jeff Bezos from Amazon put it really, really well. He said, our brand is what people say about us when we're not in the room. And I think if businesses can really think about that, then they can go beyond the name and the logo and really own a piece of that mental space that we need to own in our customer's mind.
And you mentioned testimonials. How important are they?
Well, I think ultimately, we're social creatures. We listen to our friends, we listen to our families, and when our friends, families and people that we trust tell us something that they like or don't like, we listen and we respond. If we hear of someone that loves a particular cereal or a particular car or a particular footwear, we take notice of that. And I think if we're talking about something that might have inherent health benefits or might help me in my life be better, I think when someone's trusted, say a doctor or someone that we revere or look up to, and they say, hey, I think you should try something, that carries a lot of weight. Because a lot of noise goes on in the world, a lot of media, a lot of information, more than we've ever had as mankind. But when someone we trust says something, we tend to listen. Seth Godin put it really, really well. The old way of doing business was that you would create safe, ordinary products or services and you'd flog the heck out of them. But I think the opportunity now with this connected world is if you create something remarkable, the right people will seek them out, and often that's sought out by word of mouth and testimonials.
What do you think the opportunities for companies like Happy Valley Honey would be in terms of e-commerce?
Well, I think the world's gone and changed a heck of a lot with the ways that we traditionally can now get products or services to market. You know, little old New Zealand down at the bottom of the world, we're always going to have the tyranny of distance. So I think finally now, whilst we were clever putting frozen lamb in a ship and sending it out of Dunedin to the UK and going, well, aren't we great? I think now with the opportunity for truly connecting with global markets, using e-commerce, social media, various platforms, where we don't have to have a physical retail presence, it's absolutely phenomenal. As Rod Drury says, and I agree with him from zero, you know, if we can move digital first as a nation, we can compete on a global scale, and it doesn't matter that we are thousands and thousands of kilometres away. Amazon have pioneered the way, being the everything store, where they can literally get products and items to your doorstep within a matter of hours or days from when you order it. If we can do that without having to have the cost of physical presence, the cost of people on the ground, I think that we've got a phenomenal opportunity for an economy out of New Zealand.
I talked with Craig about the New Zealand honey industry, especially in terms of the global market.
Look, the New Zealand honey industry is such a fantastic product that probably few people truly understand the potential within. The growth of it has been spectacular over the last few years. Hive numbers are up, the output per those hives and per honey manufacturers is up. I think the industry and the players within the industry are working very hard to overcome what has been some fragmentation issues amongst the different players, perhaps a lack of cohesion across different products and different manufacturers, and perhaps some of the challenges that have been put to them on the basis of different labelling and different claims. That said, this is an industry where it can make huge gains by being able to work quite broadly with a number of other land-based industries to plant marginal land and to plant the right type of honey crops. And arguably now it's an industry that's on the cusp of becoming as much about the science of honey as it is about the taste and the food factor that is honey. It's a very, very exciting thing to be involved in.
How are Happy Valley going in terms of this bigger picture that you're talking about?
Oh, look, I think the potential for Happy Valley and for other producers, manufacturers in the natural products market is just huge. We have a great story from New Zealand to tell around natural products, and I think the important thing for people like Happy Valley in the natural products industry is the more that they can get away from that bulk and that volume market, which has just been honey in this instance, to honey as an ingredient and honey as a flavour and honey as an antimicrobial product and an immunity product, the better. That means that they're going to be able to shore up and offset some of the supply issues that they might face by using a sort of less is more approach and march up a value chain and capture some quite big markets from a health segment of the market as opposed to just being a food. Very exciting.
And how do you work with businesses like this in your role?
Look, typically we tend to work with businesses to try to help them navigate a frontal attack on the market or a frontal approach to the market. So much power at the moment in marketing terms sits with the retailers to try to navigate a cluttered category and a competitive category like honey for smaller firms like Happy Valley is just so difficult and resource intense. What we would tend to do is help Happy Valley truly understand what it was required to be successful on shelf or in that channel, or look at different channels to market, especially if it's an e-commerce platform that they're able to really just serve the market in a less competitive and resource intensive way, and especially in a market like honey where the good properties and the provenance of honey is better understood perhaps by an Asian population, and Asians are typically the ones that are breaking the traditional retail model at the market, so much so that we're starting to see the Asian population do the same thing in the American marketplace. So what we would tend to do is try to provide that organisation, Happy Valley Honey, with that type of channel and customer insight and knowledge for them to be able to make good good decisions about where the better margins were to follow and capture.
Thank you, Craig. Happy Valley Honey is a thriving business, processing and selling honey and other products to an increasingly aware and diverse market. And in true Happy Valley tradition, the business is still run by family members, now the Harveys.
Technically my role is sales and marketing manager, but because we're a family business we do a little bit of everything. From the marketing side, I look after all the product development, the branding, new labels, new products we want to bring into the range, and also from a sales point of view, I look after all of our export markets, working with them from a business development point of view, opening up new markets, and then also from a domestic point of view, strategizing where we want to be sold, how we want our brand to look, and what our future is for the brand. One of my first jobs when I first came into Happy Valley was to create our skincare range. So I worked alongside a chemist manufacturer who worked on the formulations but using our products and what we wanted to achieve from the skincare. So we worked together to launch our own brand that used unique New Zealand honey ingredients. So we started off being really large within Asia, but part of our business plan was to make sure that we weren't over-reliant on Asia and China. At the same time, worldwide, I guess the demand for New Zealand honey has increased and more people globally are looking for New Zealand honey. So that enabled us to sort of pick off markets by markets, and then we've expanded. We're now exporting to over 16 countries, predominantly Asia, Southeast Asia, Europe, Middle East and the US. And the latter two markets are probably our largest markets now. So a lot's changed since 2009 when we had 2 markets and $30,000 worth of exports, to fast forward to now over $3 million in our largest 2 markets, our Middle East and the US.
As markets change, so do the export methods.
Export X has enabled us to go into new markets but using a very different distribution model. It's enabled us to sort of see visibility right through to the end consumer and how we sell our product. So we can really plan around what products are selling, where they're selling with visibility, as well as being able to sort of control the branding, the information given and the pricing, because they're using platforms such as Amazon, which really consumers are out there looking for information and then purchasing right then and there. So we can see sales data in real time and make decisions in real time, as opposed to traditional methods where it really is a time lag based on how you can get the product over there and waiting for sales. So Export X really has, I guess, taken our business to a new level at the speed we make decisions for the export market, and we look to move forward with those markets.
Paul Gray is the Managing Director at Export X. This market-savvy company exports as well as distributes worldwide. Its e-commerce expertise has won it several awards and has helped many New Zealand businesses, including Happy Valley Honey.
In the USA, e-commerce is already $300 billion a year, and it's growing at 15% a year. That's way faster. That's 4 times faster than the overall retail sector. So it's hard to overstate the importance of online sales to a marketing strategy in the United States. There are hundreds of millions of customers in the US alone that in many cases prefer to buy online with 2-day delivery, with overnight delivery, even with same-day delivery in most of the big cities now, compared to making the epic journey to a shopping mall. To talk about Happy Valley Honey as an example, as a manufacturer of UMF honey that had no presence in the United States market, in the space of 6 months from launch with us, with Export X, we've taken them from an unknown brand to being the #1 UMF Manuka honey brand on Amazon. And I think that just shows the opportunity that's there to reach these hundreds of millions of customers in the United States if you can just apply the right e-commerce expertise.
We're lucky that Export X really takes care of the end side of the distribution arm. So they look after all the distribution by utilising Amazon's warehousing systems. So we don't have to look after that side. Really for us, it's about getting the product to them in a timely manner and the right product. So we still have to look after all of our export documents, ensuring that the products are on the ship, ready to go, and timing that really. But the beauty of Export X is that the 2 companies can work together and you don't have to look through right to the end. Yeah. Globally, all of our export markets are moving towards an online model. Export-X obviously works within that area, but you can even look at China. We've got exclusive distributors who have exclusive rights to the online channels. And they're selling on platforms, even as creative as WeChat, which is essentially a social networking, talking program. So they're selling to their friends and their friends' networks online. So that's just, one way. And then there's the traditional online retailers. Pretty much every market on an export platform have got an online selling method. Japan's another really, really big market for online. We can even look at that trend within our own market. Our own website sales have increased around 300% in the last 2 years, and that's going out globally. And we've seen huge increases to the variety of countries we send to. And actually just this year, the first 3 months of 2015, we've increased 120% versus our last year. So, globally, the information people are finding, and then they're seeking out the products and purchasing, and it's not too strange to order a product from halfway across the world and receive it within a week.
When a New Yorker wants a jar of high-grade Happy Valley Manuka honey, they don't want it next week or even in 2 days, they want it yesterday. They'll settle for tomorrow.
So how we're gearing up our company and our marketing here in New Zealand and internally is really focusing on that online side. For instance, our website, how we market, even social media platforms. And that's because, honey especially, it requires a lot of information and understanding, and the only way to process all that information at times is really being online. And then the ability for them to process that information and purchase right there. So it's changed our strategy both from our domestic market, and you can see all of our export partners also changing their distribution platforms.
Tell us about the skincare range.
Kind of a natural progression from honey. Honey has been used obviously throughout history, and skincare benefits has been one of those well-known facts. Especially UMF Manuka honey, I guess it's got even more special properties in regards to the antibacterial ability. So honey has been used in skincare. It was a natural progression to expand that way, and also because we uniquely have New Zealand raw jelly, which part of the lipids and the provitamins in it is really good for collagen. So it was a natural 2 ingredients to go into skincare that was uniquely New Zealand and ours. And so we created that range to showcase New Zealand raw jelly and UMF Manuka honey for benefits for skincare, and just expanded from there.
New Zealand is becoming an increasingly big player in the global food market. And it is businesses like Happy Valley Honey that show us you don't need to be giants, you just need to think forward. Join us next week when we visit a business that has literally grown from scratch.